time for JesterEngine.com's Daily Tech Rundown. Quick heads up. Tens of thousands of people hit a wall this morning when X went down. Timelines, DMs, media, all flaky or blank across the US, UK, India, and Europe. Downdetector spiked into the tens of thousands. What's the short version?
Short version, a widespread outage that started early in the morning, affected both web and iPhone apps, and produced inconsistent behavior. Sometimes older posts would load, sometimes the site returned errors or blank screens. Reports peaked in the 50K to 78K range, depending on the tracker and outlet, and X's developer status page signaled an incident tied to streaming endpoints. It looks like parts of the platform limped back up after several hours, but X didn't give a detailed public post-mortem immediately.
Users sounded pretty frustrated. We also saw rival platforms try to recruit refugees. Any indication this is part of a longer reliability problem?
The timing was notable. This was at least the second major disruption in a few days, so analysts and users are calling it a pattern rather than a one-off. That fuels migration chatter to Threads, Blue Sky, and others, and raises real concerns for businesses that rely on continuous access. Until X explains root cause and mitigation steps, people will treat it as an ongoing reliability risk.
Anything interesting about how this was tracked or resolved?
Outage tracking sites like Downdetector and network tools like Thousand Eyes were crucial. X's status updates hinted at streaming endpoint errors and eventually listed the incident as resolved after several hours. That timeline, partial returns, back-end errors, then status cleared, reads like cascading failures in a service mesh or edge streaming layer. But without an engineering post-mortem, we're speculating on specifics.
All right, let's move on. And I'll try not to post about it on X while it's breathing again.
Big policy item next. The administration and a bipartisan group of governors are telling PJM to hold an emergency auction so AI-heavy tech firms can bid to underwrite new power plants. Trump's line was basically, tech should pay their own way. What's being proposed in plain tech terms?
The proposal asks PJM, the largest U.S. regional grid operator, to run a special procurement offering 15-year contracts. Data center operators would bid to guarantee revenue for new generation capacity, roughly targeting about $15 billion of new plants. In practice, that would lock tech firms into paying for capacity, whether they fully use it or not, giving developers predictable cash flow to build round-the-clock plants, often natural gas, to stabilize supply and blunt price spikes.
That sounds like shifting construction risk onto hyperscalers. Markets reacted, right?
Yes. The proposal rattled markets, some tech stocks slipped on the headlines, and it also prompted energy companies to move on supply projects. The plan isn't binding. PJM will deliberate with stakeholders. But politically, it signals that the White House and governors want large electricity consumers to internalize the grid costs they create, rather than have ratepayers absorb them.
And how does this tie into broader grid concerns we keep hearing about?
It's tightly related. Executives and major cloud providers have warned that the U.S. grid is a bottleneck for AI expansion. Delays to connect new data centers can be measured in years. Lawmakers and regulators are pushing options. More base load, like nuclear, siting data centers near generation, and better planning. The PJM auction idea is one market-based way to accelerate capacity while signaling who pays. It's messy, but the core question is fair. Who shoulders the bill for an energy-intensive AI economy?
Switching gears to product strategy, Meta is scaling back Reality Labs, laying off roughly 1,000 to 1,500 people and shutting down the Workrooms VR app. That's a big reversal from the headline-grabbing metaverse pivot. What's actually happening?
Meta is cutting Reality Labs staff, closing several VR studios, and discontinuing Workrooms and Horizon Managed Services in February. They're allowing users to download Workrooms data until the shutdown date. The shift is framed as reallocating investment away from large-scale metaverse builds toward consumer products and AI-enabled wearables, like the Ray-Ban smart glasses with AI features. Reality Labs accumulated heavy losses, reported in the tens of billions, so the company is pivoting to areas they see as having clearer near-term returns.
So is VR dead at Meta or just deprioritized?
Deprioritized, for now. VR experiences will continue, but the company won't heavily invest in new VR-first content. They're betting AR wearables and AI features will deliver more value. For devs and users who believed in Workrooms as an alternative to Zoom and VR, it's a disappointment. For Meta's finances, it's a pragmatic recalibration.
Ouch. Devs and a lot of vision plans take a hit. Humor me, is this the end of people pretending to have avatars in meetings?
Not the end of the dream, but maybe the end of the 4-cent enthusiasm. Avatars will live on where they make sense. Corporate VR as a primary meetings platform just lost a major champion.
Final story. A bit of futuristic hardware. Leonardo's Proteus, the Royal Navy's crewless full-size helicopter, completed its maiden flight. It's being built for anti-submarine warfare and maritime patrol. What's the significance?
It's a notable milestone in uncrewed military aviation. Proteus is designed for long-range maritime roles, ASW, sea patrols, and tracking underwater vessels without an onboard crew. That reduces risk to personnel, extends endurance, and enables persistent sensor operations over the North Atlantic. Observers see it as a European counterpart to pilotless designs like Sikorsky's autonomous Black Hawk.
Beyond the headline, what are the operational and ethical angles engineers should care about?
Operationally, autonomy promises higher mission tempo and lower manpower costs, but it requires robust autonomy stacks, secure comms, and trusted fail-safe modes for contested environments. Ethically, crewless systems raise questions about human oversight in lethal roles. Navies will likely keep humans in the loop for engagement decisions. Technically, this flight proves the airframe and control systems can meet initial requirements. The hard parts are integration into fleets and rules of engagement.
Nice way to end the show. Hardware, software, policy, and a little controversy. Thanks, that was a solid roundup.
Always a pleasure. Tune in next time when our headlines might break the internet, or at least our Wi-Fi. The preceding audio summary was created at jesterengine.com, where you can find and verify the original sources.